Who is Austin FC? Are we the team that won 4-1 against Portland? Or are we the team that struggled to score a majority of the year? Next on Final Whistle ATX. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Final Whistle ATX. My name's Wyatt. This is Nick and Harley. And cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Another episode. Yes.
Another loss.
Don't say that.
Another game we don't score. And speaking of goals, I think that was the perfect transition to talk about what is the issue with us not scoring. You know, why is it that we're not scoring? And I want to kind of take a deep dive into it. You know, who or what is to blame for us not having as many goals as we should this year?
I think the build-up play is actually not bad. We can break with speed. We've got some good passing in the middle of the field. I just think we need a little more quality. Some of the crosses are not very good. Some of the shots are awful.
Tell us what you really think.
No, but I like what I see when I see them going forward and breaking out of the back. You need a little quality to get it where you want it, and we're missing that.
I think what's missing is some of the key players because of injuries, honestly. I think any team in the world, pretty much, if you take out three of their starting midfielders and attackers, they would struggle, and that's what happened with Austin FC. We saw no John Gallagher this week, no Thomas Pochettino this week, and then losing Danny Pereira in the first half, and you know and there's already a long injury list. So to me, like, I'm not too worried just because we've been bit by the injury bug, and it's a little bit unlucky, but that's just how it goes sometimes, and I don't think too deeply about it for that reason, really.
And I really wanted to have this segment today because I want Austin FC fans to take their hands a little bit off the panic button, because I think it's easy to see.
Do you think the hand's hovering right now? Where's the hand?
Mine's not hovering, but I think a lot of fans are like that.
Oh, wow.
It's all the way on it. And it's just because, you know, we're a new team. We've only won 3 games, and we've only scored 10 goals, and 4 of those were in 1 game.
Yeah.
So I understand it, but you know, in reality, Gallagher, every time he's scored, he's missed the next game, I think. I could be wrong, but I think that's the case. Stroud wasn't even supposed to be a starter on the team. It was supposed to be Redez, who last night didn't bring his A game, and that's to put it lightly. Danny Hosen's been out, so Cecilio's playing out of position. So all of that to say, take your hand off the panic button just a little bit. We're not playing bad. We're not able to finish right now, but I think we're going to see reinforcements on the way for that, hopefully this month.
Yeah, and we've already got Musa Jite coming in. We know that.
Yeah.
And hopefully we get more. And I think we do. And I think that's going to be fun. And it's a really good time to have a little break. I know that we have the friendly against Tigres next week, but 2 weeks between the LA defeat and the next MLS game, hopefully that gives a chance to a few guys to get healthy, and we badly need that.
And this is the first loss at Q2.
Yeah.
They've all been draws or the win.
Yeah.
So that was kind of monumental in a negative way, but
And you were there last night, so you got to see it firsthand.
yes.
So what was your takeaway from the game, having the seats that you had?
So, we were pretty close. I was really disappointed by the ref, and I was really disappointed about the flopping of LAFC. I know that's nothing that we can control, and we're here to talk about Austin FC, but LAFC spent more time rolling on the ground than they did actually playing. But they still managed to score 2 goals.
Take that, LA.
Now we had that VAR decision go our way, which took away a goal, which was
I thought that
thankful.
was that should have been 3-0 that game.
But
I think that
But you know, still we didn't do enough in the final third to put much of quality and test their keeper as much as we should have.
Mm-hmm. Can I just say as well, we're talking about you having like seats to the game and being quite close to the front. You sent us a picture in our group chat before the game, so I kind of had some idea of where you would be, right? So I'm kind of looking out for you and your son who is there with you. And I see you guys on the screen. And I was like, hey, you know, I'm cheering in my living room. And I see Nick. I don't know if you saw this as well.
I didn't see. I was looking. I didn't see it.
So this is a good moment. So I see Nick kind of turn around, and you're there with your 4-year-old son, little boy. And I see you take a picture of him, and I'm like, oh, Nick's such a good dad. You know, what a guy. And then a few minutes later, you post in our group chat a selfie of you, which I assume is what you were actually doing at that moment. And I was like, oh, how many dad points do you lose for that?
No, I took so many pictures of my almost 5-year-old. I can prove it to it. Yeah, sure, there were some selfies. I think there was a throw-in right behind me that I had to get. But you know, it was a great opportunity to spend with my son, and by the end he loved it. He was wearing his Austin FC shirt. He has a much smaller version of this one.
In Nick's defense, it's hard not to take selfies. When you're so close to Josh Wolf, you can tell what kind of deodorant he's wearing. You know what I mean? So
he's an Old Spice guy, by the way.
That's a little too much
There's a
information.
free sponsor for Old Spice right there. So what was your takeaway, speaking of Josh Wolf, what was your takeaway from the 2-0 loss to LAFC?
Well, I guess, I don't know if this was a tactics thing or not, but I don't know if you guys noticed. I'm sure you did, Nick, being right there next to the action, but so many guys were slipping over. The field was so slick. I know that they often water it a lot before the game, but just very, very slick. And I would have loved to have seen our wingers who were quick, especially Stroud and Mane, the two starters. I would have loved to have seen them take the ball and run at the defenders on the slippery surface, because as a former defender who played on a series of terrible pitches across the south of England growing up, there's nothing worse than like backpedaling or trying to change direction on an ice rink, basically. And I wish that like Stroud especially is so dangerous and so direct sometimes. I just would have loved to see, you know, taking on the defenders more, because all it takes is for one slip and you're in. And that kind of on a game where we were missing the creativity of Pochettino and the direct runs of Gallagher, I think that could have been like almost a free opportunity on a night that we didn't create that much. So
I saw Fagundes making several runs. We needed more, but it came from a few areas, but they were more central than on the wing, and I think that was what you're saying.
Yeah, I think watching that game after the first half, I really felt like as many quote-unquote opportunities we had, it didn't feel like a lot of them were really significant goal threats. And it felt like LAFC got us on the counter a lot, and we kind of were lucky it was only 2-0. And so my big takeaway, actually completely off of what I just said, but my big takeaway is Jimenez, is it time to start talking? Is he our new starting right back when Nick Lima comes back?
Oh.
I've been super impressed with him, and I've been talking about it.
You're a big Jimenez fan.
I am, and it feels like Nick Lima is the better defender. I will acknowledge that. Jimenez, I think, is more of a natural midfielder, but I think that plays perfectly to the system that Wolfball wants to implement. And you saw him.
That's trademark, by the way, to Final Whistle ATX.
You've seen Jimenez make a couple really nice moves, making guys miss, and he's clearly the better passer. He's a better crosser, in my opinion. I know Nick Lima's been hurt, so he can't defend himself, but a lot of his crosses seem like his head's down and he's just kind of praying. And I feel like with Jimenez, when he has the ball, I feel like we have a real shot. And between him and Kolmanic, those are the two guys really who make our whole system work.
I mean, I love Zan Kolmanic. I think he's, for me, been one of the players.
You were early
and
on
he
him,
had a great game yesterday. And watching him, his feet, when he didn't have the ball, were literally planted on the sideline, trying to give as much space to move up and down the pitch.
Yeah. And thank you, by the way, for saying that I was early on him. I appreciate that. I want the record to show.
No,
history to show that.
Go back to episode 2, I think it was. As soon as Ben Sweat got hurt, you
cut to the replay.
But what I was going to say is that obviously Ben Sweat's injury was really unfortunate, and he started the season as left back. But Kolmanic came in and just made that spot his own, and has really, used that injury to cement his place, to the point where if Ben Sweat made a miraculous recovery from his ACL spot, I don't think he's a starter anymore. I think he's a really, really good backup. And I don't know if it's the same situation at right back, but it's a good problem to have when you've got two players that have both been good at points this season. And, maybe Jimenez now is taking advantage of Nick Lima getting hurt to make his case. And, and when Lima is back, then we can rotate those two guys. And that's, I said, a nice problem.
I want to move forward now to the next game, which is going to be on Tuesday at 8 p.m. That's going to be against Tigres, a Liga MX team. So I guess before we talk about that match, I guess if you want to explain to the audience, and I'm sure you know, but just in case any of you don't, what is Liga MX and why is this kind of a unique game for us?
Well, it's the Mexican version of MLS, and this is a good opportunity to expand the Mexican audience and introduce them to Austin FC. And I think there's a lot of crossover. I think there's a lot of Hispanic audience here who love watching Austin FC, and they perhaps have a team in Mexico that they watch as well. And this will introduce both sets of fans to both teams, and I think it'll be interesting what the crowd's going to be like for that game, because there may be more of an away crowd than we are used to at Q2.
Yeah, and it's funny because we have such a passionate fan base. I mean, I think it's 20,000 backlisted for season tickets or whatever it is, but I think you're right. I wouldn't be shocked to see 60, 65%
And I think that says more about
fans.
Tigres than Austin, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, they're the 7-time Liga MX champion. But this is a friendly. So I wanted to ask who – I don't think we're going to see the usual suspects on the pitch this game. Who are, one or two young guys you're looking forward to see some playing time? Because I think Ring is probably going to get a rest.
Yeah.
Cecilio's probably going to get a rest.
I think it's a great opportunity to rest a lot of the first-team players that are some of our favorites from this season. I think about guys like Kolmanic even, who's a young player who's played, I think, almost every game, if not every single game so far. It's been crazy. So really good opportunity to sit some guys that need a rest. We've got a 2-week break in between the LA game and our next MLS game. So I really think that we see some young guys. And I think it's a good opportunity for these guys to show why they should be considered in first-team contention. And I look at guys like Rodney Redes, who you mentioned earlier, hasn't quite made the impacts that we expected.
Still only, I think, 21 years old.
Yeah, super young. We've got to give him chances, and this is, I think, a really good opportunity for him to have a good game. Aiden Stanley, young defender, has had some minutes, but this is a really good chance against, good quality opposition to get some real minutes under his belt. And then I think in goal, I don't think we see Brad Stuver, which I know the fans going to the game will be disappointed about for sure. They can't yell Stu.
I was going to say that to make a new chant.
But I think we'll probably see a couple of keepers. I wonder if Will Pulisic, Christian's brother?
Christian's cousin, I think.
Christian's cousin. I wonder if we'll see him between the sticks. I think we probably do. So yeah, I'm just excited to see some.
So
players.
they'll yell poo.
Poo. I don't think so. I don't think that'll catch on somehow.
I'm really excited.
You, Wyatt?
Yeah, I'm excited about this match because I kind of think of it. The Gold Cup is coming up, and I promise I'll bring this back to Austin FC because I'm the USA fan at the table here. But the Gold Cup is coming up this weekend, and I'm really excited because
only the USA fan, by the way, would bring up the Gold Cup when England is in the Euro final. But whatever.
Well, yeah, but the Gold Cup. No, so our main guys are at home right now. Pulisic, McKinney, Tyler Adams. A lot of our A-listers, you can say, for the U.S. We had a long season, so we're seeing some of our younger players in the MLS getting chances in the Gold Cup. And I bring that up because I think that's the exact opportunity a lot of these young guys at Austin FC have. Our sort of default starters are going to get a rest because they deserve it. But also, I am curious where we stand with some of these young guys. Sebastian Berhalter has got some playing time in the last few games. And it's been up and down. And I don't mean that, he's 20 years old. He really belongs on a youth team. And that's no disrespect towards him. He's a young guy. I think he's got a future in this team. And I want to see him continue to make some steps to show us that he is. And I think that this next week he can do that.
What I think is interesting about the way that Austin FC's season has progressed is if you pick the starting 11 game 1 and you pick the starting 11 now, how much has changed?
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
And it's been, as you mentioned, some of the players that you wouldn't have expected that have risen to the occasion for one reason or another. That now, seeing some of the players who we haven't even seen yet come out against Tigres, we may be like, oh, what about this guy? This guy would be another solid backup or a potential sub in a game where we need a bit more speed or fresh legs. We don't know how deep our bench is until we experiment a little bit more.
And I think we need to get in our hashtag weekly Musa Jite mention in here because, I don't know if he's supposed to play against Tigres. It might be a little soon still, but if he is playing, I can guarantee all eyes are going to be on him, and that's going to be a really interesting situation for sure.
I was really impressed with Manny Perez last game, who subbed in at the end, and I'm curious to see what he looks like. I'm assuming he's going to get a start on Tuesday as well. He's, I think, 21 years old as well. We have so many young guys in this team who just haven't had the chance to start yet. But he's fast, and he showed a lot of ability, and I think he can play all across the left side, from left back, left mid to left wing. So the Tigres, if you're a diehard Austin FC fan, this really is the game you should be looking forward to because you're going to see some faces you haven't seen all year, and you're going to get to see really what they look like for real.
Yeah.
Not out there for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, but for 90 minutes or for an hour.
And by the way, the Tigres fans that are going to be there are going to bring it.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that we get a good atmosphere at Q2 every game right now, but they're going to have their match from Tigres fans, so it's going to be a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah. Now is the time, I think, for the famous Nick plug for a social.
Yes. Don't forget. So we're posting these episodes in more places. in more places than LAFC are falling over on the pitch.
And that's hard to do, believe me.
We're on YouTube.
That's right.
And on Facebook. And if you have any questions for us, you can post them in the comments section in our Facebook post when we post these weekly episodes. Or on Twitter, you can use hashtag Final Whistle ATX to draw our attention to any opinion you have, disagreements you have with our opinions, just general takeaways. We're looking for it all.
I want to say, too, before we leave, I'll give you the final say here in a second, but go to KXAN.com. We've got a ton of Austin FC content. We've got a ton of local content because I'm sure you live in Austin. And follow us on Twitter. You know, Nick is talking about the weather every single day on Twitter. Harley's tweeting whatever he's tweeting.
That sounds like a reason not to follow him.
No, I mean, the weather is so unpredictable. It's raining 5 minutes ago. Now it looks like the sun's peeking out.
I'd say it's predictable because that's my job.
And while you're on KXAN.com, you can also find our episodes there, sometimes under the sports tab, sometimes under the Austin FC tab, depending on your device of choice.
Cheers,
Very
guys.
good.
It's been another episode. We'll see you next week.
To the next one.
Cheers.
Cheers.